Hello and welcome to Card Shop Insiders, a podcast where we bring together decades of experience from both sides of the counter to take you inside the business of local game stores and collectible gaming hobbies. I'm Noah, and I play games, lots of them.
I'm John. I'm a card shop owner and veteran of the industry. I was just looking at the pictures on this damn screen.
I understand. We're working with some new technology today. It's kind of fun. We've got video and audio recording, but this is a good chance for us to go ahead and jump into our news and updates, John.
Hey, one thing we forgot. With our combined perspectives, we are ready to take you inside. So let's jump in. Now we can go.
I didn't forget it. I skipped it on purpose. All right, let's talk about the news, John. Before I start venting about things, maybe we should let you be the reasonable person today. Anything new on Magic that we need to hear about?
No, not really.
Okay.
Well, actually, with the new set that's coming out, the Modern Horizons 3, I guess it's called.
Yeah.
If we did 4 drafts prior to the release, we get a bigger allocation of the commander decks. We get 4 sets of them, which is good. That's an incentive. And it's great for us because we do drafts every Friday night anyway, so it doesn't really make a hell of a lot of difference to me.
That's an interesting and good segue into my ranting today, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So I wanted to talk about Lorcana. We just found out at the store how much product you're going to get for set 4, Ursula's Return. And although you were told to put in an order for as much as you would want and would be willing to buy, it looks like you're subject to allocation again. And as I've thought about it over the last couple of days, that's gotten more frustrating for me. What are your thoughts about the allocation on this 4th set?
It sucks. I was going to talk to my sales rep today about it. We're getting 36 booster boxes. We're getting 1 each of the mat. However, I had ordered 12 each of the mat, so they allocated us on that. We can get as many sleeves and deck boxes as we want, but that's irrelevant because they don't sell that well anyway. I mean, they do sell, but not to the point where the mats would. And the other thing is the troves. For instance, I had ordered 12 troves, and he allocated me 8. What's the other product that...
It's the theme deck with the new play experience.
Yeah. They got rid of the gift box.
Yeah.
So I had ordered 12 of those, and I think I was allocated either 4 or I think it was 4. Again, I ordered 12. So...
I mean, the really frustrating thing to me, like being limited on some of the stuff, sure, I can live without being able to get a playmat if, the playmats go to other people. But when the store is limited on the number of booster boxes that you can have, I think it affects your ability to run successful organized play. We're having a lot of fun in the store playing Constructed on a weekly basis in our little league play. But, from being a Magic player and from having the experience playing limited, I think there's value to being able to play a limited pool and to have some fun when the set first comes out, to maybe do a sealed tournament, do a sealed opening where we get 6 packs and we build a deck and we play. We'll kind of put out rules for limited play, both draft and sealed. And this allocation stuff is forcing us to only be able to do Constructed play and is making it very difficult, I think, to open up other play opportunities. And I wish there was another way that they would do it, or that they would decide to print enough product that they don't have to put everybody on allocation.
Well, let me clarify something with the allocations with the booster boxes. That was my original request for 36. So I did get those, the 36. I don't know if I had ordered maybe 72 of them, if I would have gotten only allocated 48. I don't know. But, I'm getting 36, which is good for a store this size. And the allocations are predicated on how big of a store we are. As mentioned when we first started, some of the stores got 1 kit to begin with. Some stores got 2. And very, very few of them got 3. So, hey, at least I'm getting some product. So quit your bitching.
I mean, we did get to run a set championship. So as long as we keep getting set championship options, I think we're happy.
Did. And we have snipers in this store that go to other stores, I found out.
We've converted our guys.
They got their butts kicked, too.
Oh, did they?
Oh, yeah. Brandon was 0-2, and he dropped. And Glenn and Dustin were 1-3.
Oh, that's disappointing. I was hoping we'd make a better showing if we're going to go running.
I don't know. I haven't talked to Griffin yet. He went to another place yesterday, and we'll see what happens.
I'll have to talk to them and find out what decks they took and how things fared. Maybe it was just a metagame problem. Other news for Lorcana, we don't know yet the formatting for the Atlanta tournament, whether or not it's going to include Ursula's Return product. I assume it will.
No. Well, I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure. It releases that weekend.
The week before.
Or the week before. But it's not going to be out for the mass market in the big stores, the big box stores, until the following weekend. So I had heard it was going to be limited just to the first 3 sets. But again, don't take that for what it's worth. I mean, That's what I've heard.
I don't know. I'm sure it's on the internet. Maybe somebody knows the answer to that, but I've looked a little bit and I haven't been able to find a definitive answer on that question. The other thing we wanted to talk about, or at least I wanted to talk about in the news, was the changing in the singles card pricing for the Star Wars market.
Sure.
I know that you don't pay as much attention to that as I do because we talked last week about the programs that you use to help you price the card. But I'm really interested in the Star Wars market anyway, and I'm paying a lot of attention to it. And prices are starting to climb as people are realizing that there's not any more of this first set product that's coming down the pipeline. So
it's true. I don't know if we discussed it last week. My sales rep, I asked him the other day if we're going to be able to get any more 2-player starters. He says, no. 2-player starters are done. I said, well, when's the product going to start coming out in waves? He said, I don't know if it's going to come out in waves. From what I understand, each store will get 1 or 2 boxes, point blank boxes, not cases. So that's going to put a crimp into any other thing that we plan to do until the next set comes out.
Fantasy Flight did a live broadcast last week where they promised waves. So your guy's been good, and he is always on top of his stuff. But I don't know how Fantasy Flight can justify doing a live stream where they tell us that they're going to send out waves of product for the remainder months here before July, and then the waves are 2 boxes. I just don't feel like that's reasonable.
Maybe that's what they consider a wave. I don't know.
Well, they did say we blew through their planning, that they had a plan for how to transition to waves and that we've blown that out of the water and they've shipped a lot more product than they expected. They also said that this is the most they've ever printed of any product, but hopefully they're learning faster than Ravensburger is and they're going to print substantially more set too, because they've made a game that is a lot of fun and it's got an IP that's very popular. I think that's the downfall of both Disney, Lorcana, and the Star Wars game is that it's a popular IP. People are buying it that aren't playing. And so, you've got to feed a market that has both casual collectors and the gamers in it.
Yeah. Well, again, getting back to product, I still have 3 full boxes to support my weekly play until whenever we get more, whatever it's going to be. And I did announce last week in my info blast for the week that we're going to offer weekly play on Saturdays and Sundays. Now, this is hard to plan because Saturday I wound up with 2 people playing, and Sunday I had 6 people coming in, which is kind of strange. So maybe Sunday's the day. I don't know. But we're still going to do 2 days.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of people come in the last couple of weeks. It's kind of fluctuated, but we got up to 10 to 15 people the most. Being down to 2 is a little disheartening, but, everybody's got schedules. Things are difficult.
Well, the weather was beautiful. First weekend without rain.
Yeah.
I know you weren't around.
I wanted to make it in, but I couldn't get over here on Saturday to play for the Star Wars, but we'll see on the upcoming weeks. I know this week I'm not going to make it in. I've got May the 4th Star Wars plans, so I'll be busy all afternoon nerding out and watching Star Wars movies. But
you got a problem, boy.
No, we should have had an in-store May the 4th event where we watch the movies and we have theme decks.
Can we stream it?
I'm sure we could.
Okay, then I can put it up on the screen.
Well, I'll be at the movie theater watching it, though. So
all right.
You can do it with the other guys. They'll probably think it's fun.
We could.
All right, John. I think that wraps it up for the news today. Do you have anything else you want to add in the news, or should we jump over to our main topic for this week?
Let's talk about our main topic.
All right. Well, we thought we'd jump over and talk this week about online sales, website, internet things. Why don't we start with website, John, and talk to us a little bit about the development of your website, how you got onto the internet as a store. I know my math's probably a little rusty, but pretty sure you started the store before the internet was a thing. So
pretty much.
So tell us about that progress, because you've seen it both ways.
Well, as far as the internet is concerned with our website, Crystal Commerce developed my website for us when I first started with Crystal Commerce a number of years ago. And I forgot what the fee was, but they came up with a website. It was pretty much canned, and I was able to put things in, and I could still massage it here and there without having them do it with their developers. And that's how I got started. Now, my database, if I wanted to, is available on my website. I can hide certain products or, open it up where everything can be sold. And if you go in there and you type in Magic Singles, and, you can see my inventory, and you can put an order online if you want to. However, because of cost, I limited it to, if it's $10 or more, forget it. It won't take the order because it's a pain in the neck to do that way.
$10 or more, or $10 or less?
I'm sorry, $10 or less.
Yeah, you don't take small orders on your website, and you don't ship.
No. I used to, but it's a pain in the neck because people view a card, they have a little scratch on the back, and they'll complain about that, and I didn't need that bitching. So if you order, come on in, you can pick it up, you look at your cards back right at that time. If you don't want it, How would you, I'll cancel it off the order. I'll put it back in inventory.
Well, the shipping is expensive too. I mean,
It's ridiculous.
we talked a little bit about my experience selling, personally on TCG Player and other sources, eBay, and getting a package shipped is not an inexpensive process. So you've got to have thresholds for your sales to be able to maintain positive cash flow on the transaction. I think I said last week that I try not to sell anything on TCG Player for under $5, and apparently I wasn't paying attention because I sold something last night for $1.25. So high five me. There went all the money on the postage stamp.
That's for sure. And how much fees did you pay on that?
Well, they paid a shipping fee and then it netted out. I think the total sale came out to $3 total, but
how much did you put in your pocket? That's the most important thing.
Well, $3 is what they're going to send me from TCG Player, but then I bought a stamp, I bought an envelope, I put a top loader in it, I put a sleeve in it, I printed the invoice. I mean, I spent $3 shipping it back to them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You're not making any money.
It's a break-even prospect for selling, a small card like that.
But there are some stores that, they just keep selling online, and they'll sell 1,000 boxes, and they'll cut the prices down to, they're only making $2 a box or something like that. But they're selling 1,000 boxes, so that's $2,000. And a lot of the stores that are doing this, I mean, they're all over the internet, and I can't compete with that. And sometimes people come in the store, well, they're selling it for $92, you got it for $100. Well, buy the damn thing online. That's what I keep telling them.
I mean, I think an in-person purchase from the store is a lot different than buying off the internet. I get to take it home and open it right now if I buy it in the store. If I buy it online, it's delayed gratification. I'll find out 3 or 4 days from now when I get it, what I get to open and look at. And that's if they put it in the mail right away. If you're working with some stores, they only ship once or twice a day. And if you miss their cutoff for shipping, they'll ship it the next day. If you're working with somebody like me who's selling from his personal collection, if I can't get to the post office to put it in the mail, it might be the full 2 days before I get it out. TCG Player wants you to ship it within 2 days. If you're shipping off of your own website, you're trying to do it as quick as possible. But, sometimes things happen and people don't get it in the mail right away.
Oh, that's why I don't sell off my website anymore. And, my philosophy is if you're going to play in the store, support the store, buy in the store. There was an article in Scry magazine. I have it posted up on the wall. I guess the next time we talk, I'll read it. It's about support your store. Don't buy off the internet all the time.
Yeah, but that's such an old concept. The internet is where you fill in the gaps for like when the store can't get you something or the store doesn't have something, right? I mean, you don't have a beef for somebody that comes into the store, tries to buy a single, it's not here, and they're ordering it off a TCG.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, let them do it by all means.
But, I mean, your guys that come in and sit at the table and BS about everything, and then they order all their case of their new Lorcana boxes off of, the website, somebody else's website. That's where you might have a problem is, coming in and not buying anything from here. But
it cuts to the heart.
Yeah.
And believe me, I'll get even with them somehow, some way.
Well, and you know who those people are, too. Let's talk some more about the website, though. On your website, you have a card inventory. You've got some basic contact information. You use a newsletter to keep people updated about playtimes in the week, right?
Yeah.
How's the newsletter program work for you?
That's through my rewards program, my player rewards program that I use, and it's my preferred patron. And there's a whole segment we could do about that. But once they sign up for the Loyalties Rewards program, it generates a mailing list. And every week I send out this thing called an info blast, as you mentioned. And it's basically a synopsis of what's to come the following week, the magic codes that you need to put in, my hours if I'm going to be out on vacation, or anything you need to know, any new products coming in. That's what goes out usually on Monday. Sometimes they get lazy. It doesn't go out till Tuesday, but they get it.
So that's a weekly e-newsletter. So you're, as far as getting into the digital world, you're running a website and you've got a newsletter. Are you doing anything else to have an internet presence for the shop?
Just Facebook.
Okay.
I take that newsletter and post it on Facebook. I know there's other stores that do all kinds of stuff. X and whatever the hell it's called now, Instagram. I don't have that capability. I don't have that kind of smarts.
Well, you're doing a podcast now that happens to be
I'm doing a podcast, but you're doing the technical part of it.
Yep. And we're on both Instagram and Twitter. Or
we are, huh?
Yes. And now we're recording videos, so we're going to have all kinds of good things to go.
Hey, we're smooth now. We're smooth. We're getting it.
All right. Well, if somebody was starting out today, what would your advice be to them about the internet and their online presence? Where do you think they start with if they're talking about limited funds and resources?
Well, you got to get your store established first. That's the most important thing. You got to be able to get product in, and you have to have a storefront. That's the most, that's paramount. And do it in steps. I would sell off your website first. Then you could sell off at eBay or put your inventory, because Crystal Commerce, I could put my entire inventory onto TCG Player too. And I've done that in the past, and I think I mentioned it a couple of times where I wasn't making any money. I had gotten one time 46 orders, and it was driving me crazy. So I took the inventory and blocked it off of TCG Player. But you got to do it in steps. You can't do everything all the time unless you have a big staff. And if you have a big staff, you have to direct that staff. You have to direct them to what you really want. And you have to have somebody that's technically inclined. I wouldn't try to do too much at one time, because you'll fail. It takes time to build it up.
Didn't we have, you were telling me a story about something with seller fees and stuff to be aware of if we're setting up accounts on eBay and things like that. Did you have something to share about that today?
All right. If you sell on eBay, you're going to be paying roughly 13% in fees. And people turn up their nose on it. But those are people that they don't understand. They don't have a storefront. All right. They'll sell from their house. They'll sell from their garage. So that 13% is an overhead fee. That's how you have to consider it.
Yeah.
It's just like having a store where you have rent and utilities. That's your overhead fee at the store. So you're going to have fees no matter where you sell, because you're using their platform, and you're getting a bigger distribution of the type of people that see it. It's just like going to the flea market.
Yeah.
I've seen people sell at the flea market. But however, the flea market is centralized to that geographical location. You sell on eBay or any of the other online sales platforms, it pretty much opens it up to the world. And with eBay especially, you could sell to the world. There's some countries I wouldn't ship to they'll have problems with them.
You got to be careful with a couple of things. Your shipping settings to make sure you're charging a fair price for shipping. If you're going to ship internationally, you have to be careful. Other countries, the United States doesn't do VAT or value-added taxation, but other countries do, and you have to make sure that it's clear who's responsible for paying that tax on the shipped package. Because if you ship commercial products into mostly European countries and other countries, you might end up getting yourself a tax bill. Your customer might end up having to pay a tax bill. There's a lot of things to consider when you're shipping, especially abroad.
Well, eBay's gotten very sophisticated over the last couple of years. At one time, the seller was responsible for paying the taxes.
Yeah.
And now eBay charges you those fees, and they in turn rebate to the state and to the, whoever, the individual counties, because even in North Carolina, there's 100 different counties, and the general tax rate is not the same. It's the same with 4.75%. However, the county rate may be different.
Yeah. Or
the city rate may be different. And eBay takes it into this account, and they'll pay the taxes, but they'll also generate a form to the IRS to say, hey, Noah sold $10,000 worth of stuff.
I wish.
So, yeah. So you're responsible to claim it as your income. And that's why I'm telling everybody, save all your receipts. You said you got a stamp, you got an envelope, you got a top loader, you got, a clear sleeve to put it in. Save all your receipts, because you can deduct that as a business expense against your sales. Oh, getting back to sales on eBay. I had one customer that won one of the big cards from last week's Lorcana event. Well, I think he sold it for $750 or something like that.
Nice.
However, he didn't check the listing, and he put it as a featured listing.
Oh, no.
Which cost him a hell of a lot of money instead of a regular listing, instead of the 13%. So make a long story short, I think he paid almost $200 in fees for that one card.
That hurts.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't paying attention.
Well, I can understand having sold things on eBay, and even recently sold things on eBay. I understand the process is a little difficult and can be confusing. They do try to put it in there so that you list on the preferred methods and that.
It looks pretty. It's up on top.
Priority listing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just like getting the front table at the flea market. As soon as somebody comes in, they'll see you first.
Yeah, that is the danger, but you have to understand the platform and the fees. I think you have to take time with your listings. If you're going to be selling a lot of things, if you're a shop owner, we're opening a new store, you need to know what fees you're going to be incurring over and over again. You can mitigate some of those. Like what I do with my shipping for my singles cards is that those things that go out with every purchase, I buy them in large quantities. So instead of paying 5 or 10 cents for envelopes, I'm buying buying them in $1,000 or $2,000 bundles. And so I'm only paying a penny for an envelope. I've got hundreds of top loaders. I get top loaders every time I order anything. I have a big pool of those. The sleeves I've got have been purchased years ago and are there for shipping.
Yeah. I mean, you need to send a pristine card, but you can put it into a used top loader. You don't have to buy brand new top loaders. If you have a couple of top loaders around the house that are scratched, the hell's the difference? All you're doing is protecting the card.
Yeah.
So, recycle, save yourself some money.
I got a card the other day before the set championships. I had to buy a couple of things to fill out a deck, and they shipped me the cards. And one of the cards came, they cut up a citrus fruit box.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the little card size shapes and taped them together to make their own top loader and slid the card in between. So,
but that takes time.
Not only did it take time, but I'm pretty sure it raised the shipping costs because it made the package thicker and heavier than what they would have wanted it to be for a regular envelope. But that's the nice thing about a top loader. I find if you get a top loader, you throw a piece of tape on it, you tape it to the invoice and you put it in an envelope, you get a good solid package, you get safe shipping, and you end up getting not too much of a cost for having to ship it that way.
Yeah, that's true. So it's always look at your overhead.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. Look at your overhead.
I think another element that we could talk about with this decision about how to interact online is what do you find joy in, right? You and I have talked about the fact that I think it's fun to sort and put singles cards out like into the internet and to pick a pack. When I get an order, I think it's fun to pick the order and put it together. If you're not a person that thinks that's a lot of fun, it can be tedious. Like you mentioned, 40 orders in a day is just overwhelming and unfun for you to have to handle on top of doing all the other things that you do for the store. So I think that's a consideration people should have is do you want to be selling singles cards and do you think it's fun?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun if you can make money. And that's really what it boils down to. Making money. You could sell $300 worth of card, but if it's going to cost you $400 with your fees and everything else or whatever, you're not making any money. Or if you're only making a couple of bucks and it takes you 3 hours to get everything together, you're not making any money. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, I think that's another thing. Time. People don't often think about the value of time, but if you're going to spend 5 or 6 hours shipping cards to net out, $60 worth of sales, you're only making $10 an hour and you can make that working at Sheets. So, you want to really figure out how you can make money and have a good time with this business that you enjoy. Because the point of running a store like this is to find kind of fulfillment in what you're doing for work. You don't want it to be like the thing that ties you down, right?
True. I mean, there's so many other things you're going to need to do, especially if you're running the store by yourself. If you have a little bit of a staff, you got to pay that staff and you have to control what they're doing because they're your front. That's who people see. That's who people judge your store on is your employees. But you got to take it a little bit at a time. You can't jump in with 2 feet and expect to do everything at one time when you first start out because you're going to fail. It's not going to happen. Or you're going to become overwhelmed and you're going to sit down and you're going to say, what the hell am I doing this for? It's not fun anymore.
Yeah. No, that can be difficult. Well, John, you got anything else on the internet or on website development that we want to put in today's topic?
Yeah, I think we're good for today.
All right. Well, let's jump over and talk about our 3 E's section. For folks that are new to the podcast, we like to talk about the 3 E's, which are educate, enlighten, and entertain. While we think that we are entertaining and that we provide educational content as far as what you can do in developing and starting your store, we also like to provide some other stuff that's maybe a little bit off topic, but still fun for us. John, what'd you bring for us today?
Well, I wanted to ask you if you knew, without looking at the cheat sheet here, the 4 most valuable companies in the world. And they're valued at over $2 trillion. That's trillion with a T. Do you know that?
I mean, I know 3 of them easy.
Yeah,
right?
because you looked at the cheat sheet probably.
Well, first of all, I could do all 4 of them if I had read the whole outline like we had.
All right, go ahead.
Before. But
let her rip. Let's see.
You and I have had a conversation in the last week about Facebook's value. Facebook's one of them.
No.
Facebook's not one of them.
No.
Amazon?
No.
Apple?
Yes.
Microsoft?
Yes.
That would have been my 4 guesses. What are the other ones? NVIDIA.
NVIDIA and
Alphabet, which is Google.
Microsoft is number 1.
Yeah.
Apple is number 2. NVIDIA is number 3. That's the company that produces graphic cards, gaming solutions, and currently AI computing. I saw a piece on 60 Minutes last night. So I think I got on to 20 minutes of 60 minutes. So it's 20 minutes that I was educated. and the 4th one is Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google and YouTube. And let me see. You mentioned Amazon. That's number 6.
Really?
Yeah. And I think, but they're only at $1.8 $1.87 trillion.
Yeah.
So they're not far behind.
Only 1.87
But
trillion.
Facebook is up there too.
Facebook's right with them.
There was, I think, an oil company. It was a Mexican oil company. I think came in fifth.
Interesting.
And then Amazon was 6, and I think Facebook was next at 7. Then I got a funny story.
All right, tell me.
I'm going to read you this one. This one's a hoot, and I'm going to get my phone, and because I recorded a video, the headline: Woman brings dead man in wheelchair to bank, tries to get a loan. And let's see, it says a Brazilian woman brought a 85-year-old man in a wheelchair into a bank branch and tried to get him to sign for a loan, police said. Bank staff became suspicious and called the police, who said that he had been dead for hours. Local media reported that the family's lawyer disputed the account offered by police, saying the facts did not happen as stated and that the man had arrived at the bank alive. Now, I have the video that I pulled off of the line, and it says, let me see, the woman's grabbing the guy's hand, and she said, you need to sign here. If you don't, it won't work. And then she talks to him. They got his face blurred out.
Oh my gosh.
Sign like it says here on the document. And she grabs his arm off the wheelchair and she puts a pen in it and she's holding his hand and, trying to sign it. And I guess the bank guy said something to her. And he said, well, didn't you see him try to open up the door on the way in? And the bank guy said, no, I didn't. And then she's telling the dead guy, sign here so you don't give me headaches anymore. I mean, that's a hoot.
Oh my gosh.
The chutzpah on this girl. For those of you who don't know what chutzpah is balls. She was trying to take out a $3,000 loan with the dead man.
Using a dead guy. That's crazy.
Yeah. That is that. Oh, one more thing. Oh, here. Prices that are going up, and you can appreciate this one. Legal services went up 12.4%.
That's absolutely probably true.
Among the factors driving up prices, according to legal industry analyst Ari Kaplan, a competitive market for experienced legal talent, and an increasingly complex regulatory and business environment, which sounds like a whole bunch of legal bullshit, but legal fees are going up.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. In my experience, younger lawyers think that they should be paid more faster too, so that's why legal fees cost more.
That's it for the 3 E's today there, Noah. The next on the list is card shop characters.
Yeah.
And I have Noah on the list. That's not you, that's another Noah. But I'm going to leave him for another time. And I pencil in guest speakers. Now, if we can figure out how the hell this Riverside works, we can have somebody, get into the account and record from home or wherever they live. And what prompted this is somebody had asked the other day, I guess it was Blas, that when he came into the store, he said, it would be great to have on your podcast people who are very proficient at the game. So, for instance, he mentioned Nick. Nick is probably one of the best drafters in the store. I think he researches this. I'm sure he's got some kind of photographic memory too, but he's really good at it.
Yeah.
And he's eloquent. I think he would be a good speaker for us. And then I looked at the Yu-Gi-Oh crowd and I pictured a couple of them, and I asked one of the guys the other day, he said, hey, Alex, would you be willing to, log into our podcast and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh? He says, yeah, because Alex is a judge. He can speak well. And I think he can explain the current trends that are going on with Yu-Gi-Oh! And we could probably do the same thing with other people who are really into it.
Yeah, I'm sure we could find people to do. That'd be a cool concept.
Sound good to you?
Yeah, we can work on it. Absolutely.
I sprung it on you, see?
You did. You sprung it on me. You always like to pull a trick on me during
yes,
the episodes.
I do.
All right. Well, I think maybe we don't need a card shop character for today. We started off by the 3 E's by talking about somebody bringing a dead person to the bank. That seems like a character enough for me for the day.
Well, no. Let me go back one. Dizzy Lizzie.
We're going back to Liz, huh?
Dizzy Lizzie came into play Star Wars on Sunday.
Did she hear our episode?
Well, no. Yeah, she did, and she approved. But on Sunday, she came in, and she asked if I had any more 2-player starter decks. And I said, no, Liz.
Star Wars.
Starter decks for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I said, no, Liz, you got the last 2, a couple weeks ago. And then I sat down with the group, and I told them the current state of affairs with no more starters. And, I'm going to have to be very careful with allocating the packs weekly because I'm not getting any more, maybe 1 or 2 boxes.
Yeah.
And then just before she was ready to leave, she came up, she said, do you have any more 2-player starter decks?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah. And I just rolled my eyes at her. I said, Liz, what the hell is wrong with you? And she, I forgot. She forgot.
She was focused.
She wanted another. And the reason she wanted it is because she wanted another copy of certain cards because she's building her collection.
Yeah.
That's basically what she wanted it for.
Well, there's sets of 3 of the starter-only cards in there, and that's a big deal. I think some of those cards aren't very good, and some of them are very good. So I think people are going to want those cards, and it's a real shame that they're out of that product. But
yeah, well, it is what it is. All right, now we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody that's been listening to us up to this point. Again, if you would like and subscribe to the podcast, we really do benefit from that. It's a free way to support this podcast and to help us to be able to do this more is to like and subscribe to our content on all the different platforms. Currently, we're available on Spotify. We're available on Amazon. We're available on iTunes. We are working our way back into YouTube. We're going to be able to post maybe some of this video content onto YouTube. It would be great if you'd interact with it there. And then we are live, like I said, on Twitter and Instagram. If you could follow us there, stay up to date. You'll get notifications about when new episodes go live and also other clips and information that we'll be able to pull from these episodes. We have upgraded ourselves to a different recording platform. Like John said, we're using Riverside this week to be able to record video and audio simultaneously and maybe give you a variety of ways to consume the show. And so if you find this useful and want to help support us in that effort to get better content out to you, we also have the Patreon available as an option, and that would really help us be able to provide top quality content in terms of audio and video, in addition to our top quality mental content, which we're sharing with you through this podcast. So we thank you again. We appreciate everybody listening, and I'll sign off for the week.
Did you say top quality mental? Is that what you said?
I did. You're a mental patient, John.
Yeah, I'm a mental case. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.